Embark on your civil services journey with Vision IS. Introducing the Delhi GS Foundation Course 2026, turning UPSC dreams into reality. Access interactive learning tools, animations, videos, and an immersive interface. Utilize our tech-enabled student portal for performance tracking and personalized feedback. Stay ahead with daily assignments, weekly mini tests, and monthly revisions. Strengthen your preparation with expert-researched, UPSC pattern study material. Delhi General Studies Foundation Course 2026. Batches start 29th November, 5 p.m., Karol Bagh. 19th November, 9 a.m., Karol Bagh. Take the first step towards success. With Vision IS, success is just a step away.
So hi, very good afternoon. All good. So this is the first master class of art and culture, and I hope you are aware about the topics. So two topics we are going to cover in this one. That is, very first one is the importance of the classical Sanskrit literature, and then moreover, see that what you study in the that classrooms or classes. This class will be a little different from that. Okay, some additional information would be there, so as that particularly the legacy of the Buddhism outside India. So we are seeing it from the perspective of the different stuff that we do in the classes. Then, so how many of you haven't gone through art and culture classes? अभी हुआ नहीं है classes में? But most of you already, I think, you're to I know that you are in the recent batch, and chalo, but then. See, but if you know a little bit, so it will be a little helpful as far as the background is concerned. Just give me 1 minute. So we'll start with the Sanskrit literature, okay? And there are some selected themes of that Sanskrit literature, particularly classical Sanskrit literature, that we'll be discussing over here. So first of all, that before starting, that epics, particularly Ramayana and Mahabharata, what role they have played, uske pehle, that what all ideas you have about origin of the Sanskrit literature, from where it originated, and then what could be the specific period which we can attribute to Sanskrit literature. So be participative. Any idea? So understand that as far as the Sanskrit language is concerned, it is said that by 1500 BC onwards, it started to be practiced in India. And the initial people, that generally it is referred as the Aryans, are the one who started using it. So the very initial composition in the Sanskrit literature was the Ved. And which Ved? Rig Ved. So Rig Ved was the initial composition, and then followed the other Ved, which includes Sam Ved, Athar Ved, Yajur Ved, then, and these all 4 Ved. After the Vedic composition, there is a composition of the Puranas and the Upanishads, then Upanishad, Puranas and the epics. Then, so now when we talk about the early Sanskrit in India, early Sanskrit was in the form of the Shruti. What is Shruti? That Vedic literature was in the form of the Shruti. It is in the composition form. It is not in the written form. So Vedas were not written on a paper or something, but it was in a form of the composition which passed on from one generation to another generation in the oral form. So suppose that I know the Vedic composition, so I am making you learn those Vedic composition, you memorize it, and onus is on you to pass it on the next generation. Right? to next generation. So this is how the things were there. One can ask a question that why it was not written down, because that point of time 1500 से लेके 600 के बीच में scripts were not very much developed in India. Then so there was no script in which it could be written. But then one can say that there was a script in Indus Valley. Yes, Indus Valley script was quite different from what emerged in the 6th century BC. But there was a discontinuity between the end of the Indus Valley and then emergence of the script in India. So when it comes to the script, initial script, Brahmi and Kharosti are considered to be initial, and Brahmi is the oldest, which started to develop from the time of the Buddha. So later on, when the Brahmi script has developed, so what existed in the oral form was written down. Okay? So it was written down. Now, as when we look at the Sanskrit literature, so it has been classified into the Vedic literature and the classical literature. So as far as the Vedic literature, it is all related to the Vedas. Then Vedas ke alawa, that extended text of the Vedas, that is Brahmana, Aranyak and Upanishad. After it, the most important religious category text are that after the Vedas is Puranas and epics. Then so epics over here, that what I hope you have gone through the topics that we mentioned, that what role epics have played in Indian subcontinent or in Indian society. So when it comes to the epics, what are the two epics? Ramayana and Mahabharata. Ramayana and Mahabharata. So how in many ways the legacy of Ramayana and Mahabharata continues even till this date. See, when you look at the mains examination question, particularly prelims mein to chalo there are factual informations, but then in mains examination they don't ask you directly. Have you seen that they will be asking ki ye likho ki what is the Ramayana story? No. Or what is the story of this particular thing? So what they ask you basically that what is continuing, okay? What are the legacies of those things, how it is very scientific, how it is very ethical. So these all things are asked in exam. तो रही बात रामायण एंड महाभारत की, तो लेट्स टॉक अबाउट दैट रामायण एज अ टेक्स्ट बुक, ठीक है, इट हैज़ मेनी कॉनोटेशंस देन, तो इट इज़ एन एग्जाम्पल ऑफ द स्पिरिचुअल लेगेसी ऑल्सो, ठीक है, स्पिरिचुअल लेगेसी ऑल्सो. Then it is that an example of the societal ethics also. We'll explain what all these things are there. Societal ethics, legacy, what is the ideal behavior, then what is ethical, moral behavior. So let's elaborate one by one. When it comes to the that responsibility, that when it comes to responsibility, so in a human life at different stages we have to go through the different responsibilities. Then first you are a son. You have to fulfill the duties of a son. Then after you are a husband also, okay? You have to fulfill the duties of that being a spouse also. And then you are that he was a king also. So he has to fulfill the duties of the Rajan also, king also. So Lord Ram's life is the best example that how to navigate through these all three responsibilities and how to cater these responsibility. He was an ideal son, he was an ideal ruler, and so as he was an ideal husband also. But then in ethics, I hope कुछ कुछ पढ़ रहे हो, knowledge है थोड़ा बहुत. So there is a question of the ethical dilemma. Have you heard about it? ठीक है. So ethical dilemma and dilemma of the choices. Then so these epics, particularly अभी रामायण की बात कर रहा हूँ. तो रामायण is the best example of the issue of the choices and issue of the ethical dilemma. So where is the ethical dilemma? Can you give me one example? Where? Agni Pariksha is also ethical dilemma. Good. Then उसके अलावा उसके पहले के एपिसोड में the ethical dilemma with the Janak himself. ठीक है. So Janak, when he is going to Ram, Lord Ram is the favorite son, but then since he has given a promise to Kaikeyi, so then he has to give a punishment to the son for no crime. Then, but then in this ethical dilemma, what he has gone with the promise that Raghukul Reet Sada Chali Jai. Sorry, Janak not Dasrath, sorry. तो Raghukul Reet Sada Chali Ai, Pran Jai Par Vachana Na Jai. Then, so that is what is that solving the ethical dilemma. That he knew that Ram is his favorite, Raja Dasrath favorite, and then moreover eldest son, and he is going to become the king. He knew that that Kakai's moves are all about not to making him the king, and then after Bharat will become the king. But still, he has given a vachan, so he will have to follow the vachan. So this is what is one big inspiration, that in the Indian society we often quote that you must not break on your promise. And that promise is something that if you have given a word to somebody, then you have to respect. Now let's talk about it. That when it comes to that Lord Ram, so he belonged to the Ichhavaku clan of the Kshatriyas. Then, and if we talk about the Rajputs, even in the ancient times or medieval times also, so what is one word which is said about the Rajputs? They never break their words. Okay? So they were known for keeping the promise that they have given to anybody. Then, in fact, there is a one small story I would like to tell you related to it. In the modern times itself, son of that son of Raja Jai Singh, then Mirza Jai Singh, whose name was Ram Singh, and he was one of the that he was not likened by Aurangzeb. In fact, Aurangzeb hated him, and moreover, Ram Singh also never liked Aurangzeb. But since that his father has been a courtier of the Aurangzeb, and he has said that he will be in the generalship of the Aurangzeb no matter what. So he fulfilled his father's promise, even if when he's not liking Aurangzeb. Then another thing, on one hand he's doing this thing, on the other hand, that when Shivaji was attending the court of Aurangzeb, so Shivaji was given promise by father of Ram Singh that if you are attending the Aurangzeb's court, so I'll make sure that you will not be arrested, you will not be captured. Then this is my promise to you. So you can, this was the question of Shivaji, but then you can trust me. Meanwhile, Shivaji trusted him, but then death of Mirza Jai Singh has happened. And Ram Singh was the Uttaradhikari of the Jai Singh. What he did? So he respected the promise of his father also. Then, so he fought for Shivaji, and actually it is said that it is because of the Ram Singh, Shivaji was able to escape from the Aurangzeb's court at Agra. So getting it? So these, that connections you have to understand. That this is not just about, that epics are not just about the idealism and the moralism, okay, only to talk a story, only to see a story, but it's a corrective path in the society to emulate the characters which are there. Right? Then moreover, then one more example he gave, okay, that when it comes to that choosing between the praja and the personal, vyaktigat or praja. So what Lord Ram has chosen, okay, he is the server of the public, and for that, if he had to sacrifice or if he had to ask some hard things to the wife, so then he will do. So this is what in the modern times, okay, you must have heard about that one very popular theory is Jeremy Bentham utilitarianism. Then, so maximum benefit for maximum number of people. Then, so over here, that the masses may have gone into fallout, then may have gone into fallout, but then with the actions of the Lord Ram, masses have not gone into fallout, and this is very obvious in the societal process that people, not all the time people will agree with you and all the people will not like you. So he solved that one. Then on the other hand, then so he's a fighter also, he's a protector also, he's a protector of dharma also, and then he is known for his righteousness. So his example is often quoted and often tried to be emulated in the society. These are just few examples. Then let's come to Mahabharata. What is Mahabharata all about? What is that crux of the Mahabharata? That essence of it? What is it? Essence is basically the war ethics. Okay? When we try to generalize what is Mahabharata, so Mahabharata is a book of the war ethics then, and it is all about that deciding between that what side you are, dharma or adharma. One of the word in Mahabharata, I hope you must have heard, dharmo rakshati rakshitah. Have you heard? So dharmo rakshati rakshitah mean that if you protect the dharma, dharma does not mean that ki ek particular religion. Here the dharma is your duty. So if you protect your dharma, then so dharma will protect you. So what is over here? That what is adharmic over here? The Kauravas, their side, and the way they have gone to usurp all the things from the Pandavas. Then, so in this war, when it comes between, एक बार फिर से ethical dilemma आ रहा है, moral dilemma. When the war was all about to going, it was about to happen. So in this war, Arjun is in a precarious situation. He is in an ethical and moral dilemma. So in the middle of the war, what he is saying, that ki on the other side, his brothers, his own brethren, and moreover his own guru Dronacharya is there, with whom he learnt all the art of the these everything. So how come he will be fighting against his own guru? How come he will go on to kill his guru and then his brothers? He said to Lord Krishna that that killing my own guru and my own brethren, my own blood, will tantamount to committing a sin. But then that's when Lord Krishna defines that what is dharma and adharma. Then, so even if he was teacher, even if he was his guru, but he's on the side of the adharma, and he's on the side of the adharma. And then in this situation, nobody is guru, nobody is brother or sister, but it's only dharma and adharma. And he went on to convince him that if you don't fight for the dharma, then you are committing a sin then. So many things, many realities of the life has been mentioned in this episode of the Mahabharata, which is called as Bhagavad Gita. And so this is a way of explaining the reality of the universe. Then moreover, there are other discussions in it. Okay? So 3 discussions which are very important in Bhagavad Gita is 3 topics, that is Atma, Paramatma and Moksha. So Atma, Paramatma and Moksha. Okay? So Atma is that self, the temporary self that we all have. Paramatma, that the permanent self or permanent soul, that creator. And then the Moksha. So what is Moksha? That final salvation. But understand, what is that what is Moksha? Moksha is basically end of the cycle of birth and death. And so till the time you don't get moksha, you will be born again and again. Then you'll be born again and again. And then moreover, how you attain moksha? By refining your character, by protecting the dharma, by following the path of generosity, by being generous to people, by being honest and virtuous to people, then and being very noble in character. So though nobody has seen, if we say that किसने मोक्ष देखा है, nobody has seen that who has got the moksha. But in a way that this is the ultimate goal in the Hindu life, whereby people try to attain moksha. So when these ideas are there, so at least there are people time and again who are refining their character, who are generous, who are talking about the noble values, bring back society to from the line of any violence to the line of the being helpfulness. So it is guiding principles of the Indian society, and moreover, it many ways solves the dilemma also, that the moral dilemma which is existing. Then moreover, behavior of Sanjay in Mahabharata, okay, that his important observations about the things. There could be no better book than the Sanjay's word on ethics and morality in India, that what he has to say. Then true depiction of the society in these all, that कि पुत्र प्रेम में बाप कैसे अंधा हो जाता है. अंधे तो पहले से ही थे, but then he becomes more blind in the love of the son and they forget. So this is also, that this is indicative and this is symbolic, that how one must operate himself, that he will be able to see that what are the sins which are committed by the people. Then apart from it, it is also the depiction of the patriarchal society. Then if we keep one person at the center of the Mahabharata war, that is Draupadi. Then, so there is one thing that we have to think about, okay, and you also have to think about. Tell me, except it's a very rare occasion that I have seen a name with Draupadi. That is President of India, Draupadi Murmu. But otherwise, tell me where you have heard anybody keeping the name Draupadi in their houses. What is the common myth about it? That Draupadi naam rakh doge to jhagde ho jayenge, theek hai? But then this myth is also broken when Draupadi Murmu is the president of India and she is very polite, very honest, and then kahan jhagda ho raha hai, theek hai? So then she is not leading to any kind of division in the society. So understand. So there are that instances of the patriarchy, you see that how it existed, and Draupadi example itself is an example that human society has been women centric. Even the divine beings have been the women centric, that you will have to protect the dignity of the women. You will have to protect the women from any kind of objectification. And if human beings will not do the duty, so then Lord himself will protect them. Then, so Cheer Harad of Draupadi, okay, the best example. And time and again, Lord Krishna has appeared as the protector of the Draupadi. Then, so these all things, then you learn from the these parts. So what does these two epics in nutshell? What glimpse they give to us? A path of righteousness, okay, moral uprightness, then a noble life, then a virtuous life, and then moreover many ideals to follow in life. Not only this, but Ramayana and Mahabharata has given a legacy of the Indian festival and to remind people about what are the principles which are there in the festivals. Best example is the Diwali. Best example is Diwali. Diwali is celebrated as a festival of win of light over the dark. Then, though it is celebrated as that occasion of return of Lord Ram to Ayodhya, but then overall it is what's celebrated, that the good characters, the good things, the honest thing, the virtuous thing. These is what celebrated in the Diwali. So Diwali is a festival of removing the darkness. Then moreover, Ramayana and Mahabharata as a legacy. Then, so Ramayana and Mahabharata as a legacy, it is a connecting link between the different parts of India. Then, so connecting link, how come? That in all the vernacular literature of India, you will find a version of Ramayana. Then there is a Kambar Ramayana in Tamil Nadu, there is Taravi Ramayana in Karnataka, there is a Vichitra Ramayana in Odisha, okay? And there are many other recensions of the Ramayana in the different parts. In fact, it is said that there are more than 100 versions of the Ramayana or translations of the Ramayana. And then it is a binding force that many a times we say that India is a multicultural country, pluralist, multicultural, diverse country. But even in this diversity, there are many binding factors. And one of the binding factor is that these epics and that the stories which are celebrated in it. So for example, that Lord Ram was born in Ayodhya, but where is his prayer room as per Ramayana? Rameshwaram, okay? And who he prays in Rameshwaram? His own Ishta Devata. Who is his Ishta Devata? Lord Shiva, okay? So connecting link between this length and breadth of India. Itna hi nahi, that Ramayana is not just a legacy for India, but it is also a legacy in the many countries outside India. So for example, there is a city in Thailand, Ayutthaya, okay? Ayutthaya is Ayodhya actually. It is a celebration of the life of the Lord Ram. Then moreover, when you land up at the airport, Bangkok airport, then though it is known for many things, but then Bangkok airport, what you see, that Indian mythological episode, Ramayana is painted, and so as the Samudra Manthan is painted. Then there are different versions. Abhi hal filhal mein, I hope you must have seen ki G20 summit, Rio de Janeiro, everybody has gone. Our Prime Minister has also gone to Brazil. And then there was performance of the Ramayana by the artist over there. Then apart from it, Japan has its own version of Ramayana. Okay? Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, they all have the versions of Ramayana. And moreover, creation of the Angkor Wat temple by Suryavarman in Cambodia itself is a testimony to the legends of the Lord Vishnu. And Lord Ram is the avatar of the Lord Vishnu. Then, so originally the temple was dedicated to Lord Vishnu. In today's time, it is no more a functional temple, but then the legacy has gone to even these all places. The existence of the temples dedicated to the Hindu gods, and so as the Ramayana related episode in Bali you can find. Then many temples, and in fact Bali temples are very beautiful, very unique. So that's the legacy of the Ramayana. And so now Moving on from this part to, let me check the theme, that what was the theme. मैंने कुछ लिख के भी लेके आया हूँ ताकि तुम्हें कुछ additional information ये रहे. तो I'll just take. So now after it, so this is what is about the Ramayana and Mahabharata. So Sanskrit as a literary masterpiece. Then, so let's understand, Sanskrit is considered as a literary masterpiece. एक रचना है. There is a one composition of Bharavi. ठीक है? And this composition of Bharavi, it's like that if you read from first line, ठीक है? And if you read from last line. So this is first line, last line. If you start reading from here, the same words would be there. And if you reading from there, ulta, the same words would be there. Then, so this is a literary masterpiece. Just one example I'm telling you. Okay? That Bharavi is one poem. Then apart from it, Sanskrit is basically considered as most scientific language in the world. So let's have a little bit of discussion that why Sanskrit is regarded as the most scientific language. थोड़ा बहुत बात करो, ठीक है? That, and you can give your insights also that why Sanskrit is regarded as the most scientific language in the world. Any idea? Vocab, very good. ठीक है? Yes. So there is no discrepancy in what you write and what you speak. That is what Sanskrit. Then he said vocab. I'll tell you, it is the only language in the world from the classical age which has maximum number of the vocab. Sanskrit in Ashtadhyayi itself 3959 words, different words are mentioned. Okay? So maximum number of the vocabs are there from the Sanskrit as compared to the classical languages of that time, including Mandarin also. Mandarin is what? Chinese. Then including Greek and Latin also. So this is the most extensive language in the world. Then Sanskrit has a perfect syntax system. Okay? It has a perfect syntax system. So the sentences, when it is created, there is no scope of error when you write with the correct knowledge. Then no scope of error. Then apart from it, Sanskrit as a language, it is said that it is a resonating language, that it creates a resonating effect also. Then phonemics in Sanskrit language, it is said that once you master the Sanskrit language, your phonemics will improve in all the other language. What is phonemics? Speaking ability in the other languages. Then, so speaking abilities, clearly you can speak any other language and it broadens the horizon of the understanding. Then apart from it, let's come to other part. As we said that Sanskrit में जो लिखते हो वही पढ़ते हो. Why it is possible? Because Sanskrit happens to be the initial language which gave this kind of late. ये system तो हमने बाद में नाम दिया, but Sanskrit was following this thing from the beginning. What is Abhigada system? That vowels would that consonants and vowels होते हैं किसी भी language में. Consonants are fully written and vowels are used as matra. ठीक है? Diacritic. So that system started with the Sanskrit and later on it was emulated by majority of the other languages. Then apart from it, let me go into some other interesting details related to the Sanskrit. Then, so Sanskrit is believed to be the one language when you start studying it from right from the beginning, right from the childhood. So it opens many inactive temples of the brain. Temple ये पूजा वाला नहीं, many pockets of the brain. So inactive temples of the brain, and the Sanskrit intonations are as such that they resonate to the parts of the brain, and because of this resonance, it's a scientific fact that what gets released from the brain? Hormones. Then different type of hormones. I hope you know that without the hormones are the catalyst of the body, and these hormones play a very vital role. Then, so for example, all of a sudden we have the emotion of the anger. All of a sudden we are feeling very piety. All of a sudden we are euphoric and then we are very happy. This is all not what we call human emotion. In the word of the chemistry, it is the chemical reaction. And what kind of chemical reaction? Hormones, when they are released. So for example, that you're mature. Girls go into the periods. Then monthly cycle. What is it? Change in the hormones. Then the toughness of the voice, that हमारी voice change होनी start हो जाती है बच्चे होने के adult होने के time पे. What is it? Change in hormones. And what must be the quantity of the hormones? Not even in mLs, then not even in the milliliters. It's just you touch from a needle from liquid, and what comes in the needle, that is the amount of the hormone which is enough. So have you heard about that happy hormones? Dopamine. Then so dopamines, little bit of it will be released, you'll be happy. ठीक है? Then all of a sudden you see a snake. ठीक है? यहाँ पे किसी ने फेंक दिया. You will be frightened up to such an extent कि minutes तो छोड़ो, seconds भी नहीं लगते हैं कि पूरे चेहरे पे पसीना आ जाएगा. ठीक है? What is it? Norepinephrine. Then so epinephrine and norepinephrine, or adrenaline or noradrenaline. So this is what is released. एक relaxation देगा और दूसरा make you panicky. So hormones, ठीक है? And how they get activated? Frequencies. So for example, what is sunlight? Sunlight is a frequency. Sunlight is a frequency. When you receive sunlight on your skin, so what gets formed? Vitamin D. So that frequency is changing something in your body, and that is leading to the formation of some chemical. So similar way, Sanskrit plays this role. No other language has this kind of capacity to create that resonating effect in the brain, so that the hormones are, right quantity of the hormones are activated. Then understand the scientific aspect of the Sanskrit. Mantra. As per the religious definition, what is mantra? Mantra is that it is called as manah trayate iti mantraha. So manah trayate iti mantra, मन को जो वश में रख सके वो मंत्र है. And but then actually what in reality, in a scientific way, what are the mantra? That these are the different intonations. Intonation, you understand? कि different tone में हम जो बोलते हैं संस्कृत में. With that intonation, it releases some sort of enzymes and the hormones in our brain, and then that's how we are in a state of the perfect harmony. Then, so that is another aspect of it. Then let's move on to another example which I need to tell you. Okay? So basically, that when it comes to Britain, okay, they were the colonizers of India, and and then moreover, they went on to rule for very longer time, and then there was the ideological hegemony of the British also, that their culture, their civilization is more superior, their language is more superior to what exists in India. But in reality, they themselves have recognized that Sanskrit is one of the most superior language in the world. Before I will give you example from the Britain, I just need to tell you, in 2003, UNESCO recognized Vedic chantings as the intangible heritage of the humanity. 2003 say they consider it as a very highly scientific, okay, which opens, as I mentioned to you, that many inactive parts of the brain, and it refines your pronunciation system. So in 2003 itself, Vedic chanting was the part of the heritage. Then let's come to the next example. In 1975, then in London, a school was created. Name of the school was St. James Preparatory School. Then, so St. James Preparatory School, in fact, in the entire London, it is the most sought after school by the Britishers. And what is unique about this school? So this St. James Preparatory School है ना, तो preparation मतलब बच्चों के entry level का. And in this preparatory school, in the initial 3 years, there is no LKG, UKG, take a kindergarten over there. What is there? Vedic Pathsala. So it is the Vedic chanting which is taught to the students. And such is the effectiveness of these children that they develop a very high intellectual capacity during those 3 years due to the Vedic chantings. And then if they are released into any field, they are learning science, they are learning mathematics, they are learning any other thing. So their memory increases, their understanding increases, their ability to classify the things increases. So this is what about the St. James Preparatory School. But then moreover, interesting is that it's a vegetarian school. Okay? So it's a vegetarian school, that only vegetarian school in London, and whereby even the children who are getting enrolled, so parents will have to make sure that they are not going into the non-vegetarian direction. And then after, it's a school of the meditation. And then moreover, the founder of this school, St. James, was a Christian missionary. Then, so, and he was not an Indian, he is a British. So, this itself is indicative that there is a great legacy of this language. Then, and it's a highly scientific language. Moreover, Sanskrit is the language. Don't limit Sanskrit to Hinduism, because it is used in Hinduism. That's one such that one aspect of it. But otherwise, it is used in many ways in the different parts of the world. Then, now when it comes to Sanskrit, that legacy of the language in the art and architecture of India. So many such things. Okay? For example, when we talk about the art forms of India, तो आर्ट फॉर्म्स ऑफ इंडिया जब भी किसी टेम्पल पे जाओ, एनी एंशियंट टेम्पल ऑफ इंडिया, सो यू विल सी that sculptures from the Hindu pantheon and different characters are depicted in the sculptural form, different stories are depicted. So these all stories and everything is depicted from the Sanskrit literature. So Sanskrit literature has given a wide scope of the depiction of it. Then apart from it, paintings, okay? There is a vivid painting based on the Sanskrit literature in India. Then moreover, another very important aspect that I need to discuss with you, Kalidas and Shakespeare. So after the 1950s, we were under the garb of the Western leftist historians. In fact, many a times we also behave in such a way कि हम अपने language में ज़्यादा profound होने के बजाय we try to imitate the Europeans, ठीक है? So can को बोलते हैं can, ठीक है? So you getting it then? So when you try to anglicize, we try to imitate a lot. Then so this is something which goes bad for everybody, and then you lose the legacy of your own. So I'll give you one good example. ठीक है? एक तरफ तमिलनाडु and दूसरी तरफ entire India. So entire India was not very, I would not say everyone, but then when it comes to the initial politics of the 1950s and initial scenario of the 1950s, it was all about that going with the leftist historian trend and not about the preserving the culture. But it is the Tamilians who are very particular about preserving their culture. They never leave their language. They consider it as a paramount, and it has taken a number of the time that they are fighting with the central government. So अभी हम लोग इस generation के लोग हैं. हमने देखा है कि then very often that they do say something about the central government कि they are imposing this language, that language, ठीक है? It's nothing new. It's not the only government which is getting it. Even Jawaharlal Nehru, in one of the speech, he has to face many challenges, and in fact, people were throwing stones on him, ठीक है? And even that many such other things also. So see that they were able to preserve their culture to a great extent. But then over here, the leftist historians did a damage to many of the legacies of the Indian culture, and so as the Indian history. So in this regard, there is always a need that going back to the roots and then moreover preserving what is structural in nature. Then I was talking about Shakespeare and Napoleon. उस बात पे मैं आया. So what the historians of the 1950s they wrote that Kalidas was the Shakespeare of India. ठीक है? तो बात से तो ऐसा लगता है कि Shakespeare was the father figure of the Kalidas. Whose timeline was earlier? Kalidas or Shakespeare? Kalidas. So it's better to call that Shakespeare was the Kalidas of the Western world then, rather than saying that Shakespeare that over here that Kalidas was that. Similar way, एक और mistake है, ठीक है? Samudragupta is called as, ठीक है? That in the Indian, चलो यूरोप के इंग्लैंड के टेक्स्ट बुक में लिखा हुआ है तो चलता है, वो उनकी कंट्री है, they will do according to their own choices. But if in Indian textbook, in the NCRTs, if you are writing that Samudragupta was the Napoleon of India, is it justified? ठीक है? So is it justified? And it's not right. कुछ हम लोग बहुत सॉफ्ट होते हैं, ठीक है? जैसे कि क्या फर्क पड़ता है, इधर का वर्ड उधर हो गया, कोई बहुत बड़ी बात नहीं है. एक्चुअली बड़ी बात है, ठीक है? बिकॉज विथ स्मॉल थिंग्स ओनली यू इनकलकेट द बिग थिंग्स, ठीक है? वर्ड विच इज सेड ना, Machiavelli of India. Machiavelli was earlier, sorry, that Chanakya was earlier, and then you can compare the Prince which was written by Machiavelli and you can compare the Arthashastra which was written by Kautilya. So it always seems that Prince was the copy of the Kautilya, because Kautilya cannot be copy of the Machiavelli, because his timeline was earlier than him. So this is what is the Western fallacy that we have adopted, and we must not do that. Then, so that is what is another legacy of the Sanskrit. Okay, so that this part. Then there is a one more topic of the Sanskrit. Just give me 1 minute. So Sanskrit as a cross-disciplinary knowledge. Okay. So what is a cross-disciplinary knowledge? How Sanskrit has contributed towards the scientific community of the world. So let me tell you some examples. Okay. When it comes to mathematics, what is the Sanskrit contribution to mathematics? Thoda bahut to batao. Aryabhat, what he invented? But then understand, it's matlab, I have created that one post on this itself. ये तो विजन ने साथ साथ में मुझे बहुत coincidence है that 3 days back I just created a topic that for my own channel Culture Quantum, and same topic that the legacy of the ancient India to science and technology. I'll be releasing in few days. Okay, there I have a lot of discussion related to it. I will recommend you to see this. So now over here I have discussed some of the topics related to it. I'll give you just one small input from it. Actually, the numerics were also the contribution of India to the world. It's not just the zero. And it's not just the zero. Let me complete it. So numerics, so for example, the first best example of the perfect numeric system is the Indus Valley civilization itself. The bricks of Indus Valley civilization were in perfect symmetry. There was a perfect measurement. Then, and moreover, there existed some numeric system. And in fact, what Western world says that their alphanumeric system, which was actually Arabic, Indo-Arabic numeric system. It is the scholars of the India and the Arab world, they developed the numeric system, but it was all hijacked by European part of the world, and not even a single credit has been given to the Arab mathematicians and the Indian mathematician. Then apart from it, so iske alawa, we had a good contribution in the astronomy. What is astronomy? That Sanskrit has rightly predicted the arrangement of many stars then, and that has been proven in the today's science. Then we had the scientists who have written a lot in the Sanskrit like Varamihir, then who was the courtier of the Chandragupta II. What he has written, Panchasiddhant Brihat Samhita, he is the one who proposed the cloud formation theory. Then let's come to Aryabhat ke alawa, Bhaskaracharya, Brahmagupta. They were some of the famous mathematicians of India. They are the one who have given all the formulas, algebra, okay? Then arithmetic, trigonometry, and uske alawa factorials, decimals, then, and even the algorithms, and even the logarithms. It all existed in the Indian tradition, but then now what has happened in the modern world? It has been hijacked by the modern people in the name of different theorems, Pell's theorem, Pythagoras theorem, Pantheon's theorem. Then, so these are theorems they come up with, and they say that this is what existed in the Western world. So it has been one contribution. Then moreover, that in the field of the medicine, okay? So in the field of the medicine, yoga has been scientifically recognized that how it disciplines body and mind, and it is one way of correcting the anomalies which are existing in the body. So it has been recognized by the UN body itself. Then apart from it, Ayurveda, one of the biggest contribution of India, one alternative system of medicine. I just want to share one example with you, my own example. It was in last year, 2023, okay? And 2023, I was very ill, critically ill. I had a frontal sinusitis then. And generally it goes away with the people in a day or two or a week, but in my case it took 1 month, and then I was hopping one hospital to another hospital. Then after, every doctor is like that why it is not going away, and then some of them, they went on to say that sutures would be created from here, and then something would be drained out from then your maxillofacial sinuses. Then I was frightened then, and then somebody suggested to me that that whatever medicines you're taking in the allopath, you just go with the Ayurveda. So I consulted, and then I was given a treatment for 1 month, 15 days particularly, after a 2nd day gap. and that was one treatment related to the nasal area only. I felt relieved. Okay? So there are some remedies, alternative remedies. It's not like that allopathy is bad. Allopathy has sometimes, many a times it works, but sometimes it does not works. So there are way of the functioning of the different alternative medicine, and this is what was the contribution of India. कि इस वे में अगर जो नहीं करेक्ट हो रहा है तो अदर वे भी ट्राई कर लो. Then apart from it, medicine के अलावा surgery was first mentioned in India. ठीक है? They tell it to Hippocrates. ठीक है? But Hippocrates is a new guy. When it comes to the real surgery, it is Sushruta. Then who has mentioned plastic surgery, cosmetic surgery, then nose reconstruction surgery, which is called as rhinoplasty, and ophthalmic surgery. So these all are that some legacies. Then so there is a mathematics, then what we said in medicine, then surgery. Uske alawa metallurgy. What is metallurgy? The idea of the extraction of the metal. Okay? So extraction of the metal and even the precious metals also. So metallurgy has been mentioned in n number of the books from ancient India. Some of the popular books are Rasa and Ras Ratnakar, written by Nagarjun. So metallurgy has been the forte, and it has been the contribution of the Sanskrit. So overall, Sanskrit has a very bigger impact. One last thing which I want to tell you about the Sanskrit is basically, in what ways Sanskrit legacy is there in the different parts of the world also. Let me give you one example. St. James Property to bataya hi, theek hai, but then something different. Many languages in India and outside India are considered to be either emerging or getting inspired from the Sanskrit. Have you heard about the thing called loan words? What is loan words? I'll tell you. Loan words are something, theek hai, कि सपोज इंग्लिश लैंग्वेज है, ठीक है, इंग्लिश लैंग्वेज में देर इज अ नो वर्ड फॉर सम ऑफ द दैट, सपोज आई गिव यू गुड एग्जांपल, देर वाज नो वर्ड इन इंग्लिश लैंग्वेज फॉर शैम्पू. ठीक है, सो व्हाट दे डिड, दे टुक अ लोन वर्ड फ्रॉम संस्कृत दैट वाज चंपू. ठीक है, एंड दैट वाज रिफॉर्म्ड इनटू न्यू प्रोनाउंसिएशन सिस्टम शैम्पू. सो दैट्स हाउ दैट द शैम्पू वर्ड केम. ठीक है, so shampoo was originally Sanskrit champu. Okay? It went into as a loan word in the that English dictionary. Then there are n number of the loan words which are existing in the English dictionary. Okay? And some of them are Sanskrit, some of them are not Sanskrit. Okay? So for example, that from India, loot, dakati. Okay? So these all are the Indian words but have gone as a loan word in the that English language. But not just this. Some of you must be Kannada speakers, some of you must be Telugu and then Malayalam speaker. These three languages, Tamil I am not touching, okay, because Tamil has a less loan words from the Sanskrit. But then a good chunk of the words in Malayalam, Kannada and Telugu, they are a loan words from the Sanskrit. In fact, there is a close association of the Sanskrit with these languages. So for example, that anyone from Andhra, Telangana in this class? No one? I'll tell you. For example, that in Sanskrit the word is Suprabhata. Suprabhata, you understand? That early morning, that good morning. Then, and in Telugu, what we say Suprabhatam. Then, so Suprabhatam. Then, so just it's one example. So it has inspired. Then apart from it, Indian languages में जितने Northern Indian का language हैं, चाहे हिंदी हो, चाहे फिर मराठी हो, चाहे मैथिली हो, या फिर then any other language which is basically popular, Bengali, Odia also, they all are inspired from Sanskrit. This is what is about the Indian languages. What about the outside languages? Javanese language, Burmese language, so as the Thai language, okay, and Indonesian language, they also have some loan words, a good chunk of loan words from Sanskrit. But then most interesting, I'll tell you, Chinese, Mandarin. Even Mandarin has many loan words from the Sanskrit. Now you can think of कि ये कैसे हो गया, कि संस्कृत चाइना कैसे पहुंच गया? Buddhist travelers, ठीक है? And with the Buddhist travelers, there has been many loan words over there in the Chinese language also. Then उसके अलावा the European language which is considered to be highly closer to Sanskrit is German. Then so the system of the pronunciation in the German language and Sanskrit are very closer. And phonetics also sometimes they seem to be very closer. Then, so that is one thing. Then moreover, another thing, that Sanskrit language, one of the biggest contribution of the classical Sanskrit, not just to the Indian literature but also the literature outside India, is the new genres of the prose, poetry, and the dramas. Then, so dramas written by Kalidas, Kumar Sambhavam, ठीक है, Ajat, the Kumar Sambhavam, Malvika Mitra, Abhigyana Sakuntalam, Raghuvamsam. Then these all one of the epic creations, and the way they were written, the same form is emulated, followed in the Western world also. Then, so Sanskrit has left a big impact on the world of the culture and the legacy. The only thing is that the right preservation of this language is required. Right? So Sanskrit must not fall into the debates of the religion, but Sanskrit itself is a great thing which must survive, which must thrive, and for it we must have to take the right steps. So this is what some discussion related to Sanskrit literature. Now I'll move on to, so I hope something unique you have got to know. Okay? Then let's move on to the next topic, which is Buddhism. So I'll tell you what all themes we need to discuss in this topic. Just give me a minute.
Get ready to conquer UPSC Prelims 2025 with a stronghold over current affairs. Enroll for the PT 365 program, a 20-day course offering comprehensive coverage of 1-year current affairs in 60 hours. This meticulously designed curriculum features daily sessions on important subjects relevant to the prelims examination. Starting offline from 9th January at 5 p.m., the highlights include complete coverage of current affairs from sources such as The Hindu, Indian Express, PIB, Economic Times, Yojana among others. Flexibility of class timing with access to live online classes for distance learning students. Access to Sandhan, a personalized prelims test series. Personalized assessment and feedback. Doubt clearing sessions and mentoring. Get on board to succeed in prelims with excellence in current affairs.
हाँ, पूछो. See, complex language is something that that the most complex creation of the God is the humanity. No language could be more complex than the human being itself. Okay? Just give it food of thought that how human body operates. Then, so how human body operates, we talked about the hormones, but then just think about many other things. ठीक है? कि एक हल्का सा कुछ प्रॉब्लम कहीं पे होता है, ठीक है, and then how the functioning is there, that if little bit of gastric juice is not released, entire body goes into paralysis. Then just think about how synchronous system of the human body is there, that there would be normal 72 beats, 120 80 would be the blood pressure, ठीक है, how things get pumps up from the that lower part of the body to the upper part of the body, upper part of the body to the lower part of the body, how the nerve conduction happen, okay? What is the system of it, and then moreover, how the new cells get created. Just think about the body process. There could not be more complicated than this, and there could not be anything more sophisticated than this. So humanity was born to do the sophisticated thing. Humanity was born to take the challenges. Humanity, that human beings were, we are at the apex of the human civilization, or we are at the apex of the entire universe. So if we don't do the challenging things, who else will do? So the language itself is epitome of the best creation of the humanity. Getting it? Okay. So, and moreover, anything seems complex when you see from the perspective, it seems complex because you don't study art and culture in Sanskrit. You got it? When you start studying that art and culture in Sanskrit, okay, so it will be easy. Anything is complicated only when we are not doing it. Everything becomes easy when we start doing it. Then, so that is one thing. And moreover, for example, कि हम सब लोग एक different language जानते हैं. मुझे हिंदी आती है, मुझे इंग्लिश आती है, मुझे भोजपुरी आती है, थोड़ी बहुत मुझे मैथिली भी आती है, थोड़ी बहुत मुझे मराठी भी आती है, ठीक है, एंड थोड़ी बहुत मुझे मलयालम और कन्नड़ा भी आती है. So these all languages, but थोड़ी बहुत आती है, कुछ languages पूरी आती है. But then when it comes to suppose that somebody is speaking in any of the northeastern languages, I'm not able to understand, and then I'll say that कि बहुत difficult है यार ये तो. But once I start learning that language, it will become easier for me. Then, so it's all about that breaking those all limits that we have created in our mind that something is difficult. So as it's equally true about this examination also. This examination is only difficult when we don't have the enough determination to clear it. This examination is no more difficult when you have the enough determination. Actually, this exam is more cleared on the basis of your determination rather than that putting some sort of horse trading work. Then, so it's a reality. अगर जो दिमाग में एक बार सोच लो ना that कि no matter what you will study what is required, you will not leave any stone unturned and you will clear this exam, half the battle you win over here. But then when we start considering the things, जैसे मैं बहुत simple सी बात बता रहा हूँ, मेरी किताब ठीक है, and as compared to many other things which are there in the market, ठीक है. So earlier तो I did not wrote, I happened to be the one of the initial teachers of the market when art and culture syllabus started. So then I created the structure of it, and I say it with the pride that many people in the entire market, they copy what structure I have created. So initially I did not wrote the book, but then when I wrote, so I was of the view that ki it must be very helpful, and at the same point of time in a story format you're learning the things, ठीक है, you are able to grasp what you have studied. So it took time, but then there are the people who will come up and then they will say कि pages थोड़े ज़्यादा हैं, ठीक है. तो pages तो see that you want to clear the biggest exam of India also, and at the same point of time if you have complained about that these are the so bulky that it's anyways it is not bulky as compared to any other popular book in the market. Size is smaller, and though moreover the font is big, and then not every chapter you have to study, okay, that those chapters you have to identify which is according to the UPSC demand or what has been repeatedly asked, that you have to give the special emphasis. So for example that when you look at many other papers, ACR का पेपर था जैसे ज्योग्राफी का, there was a question which was asked about the twisters. I'm going little मतलब deviate हो रहा हूँ, ठीक है, but वापस आ जाऊँगा. Twister, do you find any of the guidebook कि जिसमें ये twister वाला question दिया हो? नहीं. There was a movie, Mexican movie, ठीक है, in which it is there, but then you can find it in Ellen Stroller, ठीक है. It's a book of the Wiley publication itself and physical geography, and there are people who study, ठीक है. So somebody who has a study Ellen Stroller, they were able to write the twister, but then मान लो 10 लोगों ने पढ़ा, 10 लोगों ने लिख लिया, तो ये कंप्लेन करोगे कि उन 10 लोग का सिलेक्शन क्यों हो गया? Obviously not, ना. तो it is the place where what is required you will do it. That I'm talking about not the book, but I'm talking about the determination. So when you start considering something as a difficult, it will become difficult. This is what is called as power of attraction. You say something difficult, it will become difficult. It is power of attraction. You say something that you will do it, power of attraction is you will do it. Then so bring that particular element in you. And now is the time कि अब तो दिसंबर स्टार्ट हो गया, अगले महीने खत्म होते ही नोटिफिकेशन भी आ जाएगा, तो अभी थोड़ा सा फर्वर होना चाहिए एग्जाम का कि प्रीलिम्स आ रहा है, एंड देन यू मस्ट बी हाईली मोटिवेटेड एंड यू मस्ट बी हैप्पी that at least one best decision that you have taken, that you are going to take the toughest exam of this country. That itself is a big thing, ठीक है. Not everybody has this kind of courage to go with this exam. So now moving back. See, this is what not so what survived is the simpler languages, and Sanskrit is still surviving, okay, not in the wide masses. I'll give you same example. So who becomes civil servant? Only few people. And who does not become? The simpler public. So this is how the things exist. I hope you will be in the Sanskrit zone. Now you got your answer. So now let's come to see, written part is to be started from the that everything started from the 6th century BC. 6th century BC onwards, not only the Pali and Prakrit literature were written, but then some writings of the Sanskrit script Brahmi. Okay? First example I'll tell you. First example, that first archaeological evidence of the Sanskrit is that Junagadh inscription of the Rudra Daman. Then that's the first example of the written record of the Sanskrit. And Rudra Daman was somewhere around, okay, if we have to count his timeline, so 90 BC, and then after he was in between 1st century AD to 100 AD के बीच में. So that is first archaeological example. उसके पहले का कोई example नहीं होता है. नहीं, पहले क्लास के इनिशियल पार्ट में तुम थे नहीं. It was all in a composition. It was not in a written form. It was all in the oral tradition. It was not in the Shruti. It was not in the written form. Brahmi. It was Brahmi. For that, you will have to study the evolution of the script in India. The evolution of the script, it all starts. Brahmi is the oldest script of India. Sanskrit was written in the Brahmi script. Okay? And Devanagari script development has happened during the Gupta period. So Guptas were the rulers from 319 to 550. And initially it was called as Gupta script, but Gupta script ko baad mein they named it, in the middle of the Gupta period, it was named as Nagari. And then after the religious Hindu literature, when it was written in the Nagari script, so then they said, since the Daviya literature is written in the Nagari, so the script will be called as Devanagari. So by the end of the Gupta period, Nagari script started to be called as Devanagari. अब इसके लिए you will have to follow culture quantum. I'll take you to the places. Do you follow? Okay. So not these all queries, but then it is not followed at this point of time. It is not followed at this point of time. Now the things have completely changed. Okay? But then Brahmi is mother of all the Indian script. अब ये एक अलग topic है. मतलब आज के topic में नहीं है. But then since you have asked, Brahmi is the mother of all Indian script. In fact, it is the only connecting link between the North Indian scripts and the South Indian scripts. And in fact, Brahmi is not only the mother of the Indian script, but it is also considered as the script of the Thailand also, and Malaysia and Indonesia also. Okay? So some inspiration has been there. Not complete inspiration, but some inspiration has been there from the Brahmi. So Brahmi is one such a script in the world which is considered to be influential for many scripts of the world. But in today's time, it is no more practiced. Okay?